Hi everyone, Tony from Hack the Movies here, and today we're talking about Air Force One, aka the most patriotic Die Hard knockoff, today on Hack the Movies.
Tapes were talking about tapes.
Hello, Prison Mike.
Hello, Tony.
It's Inauguration Day,
It is.
and I want to apologize.
Happy Inauguration Day, by the way.
Well, I don't know about that. Prison Mike, before we started recording, I tried to peel this orange, and I got orange juice in my eye. My eye's really, really messed up. So I want to apologize for that ahead of time. But yeah, look, it's Inauguration Day, and we're all very sad. That orange juice in my eye.
Yeah.
We're all
See, it's here and all.
we're all hurting, and it's just a very dark, depressing day for everyone.
It's ironic that you had an orange today.
Yeah. I just was really
Thinking
hungry.
of other things that are orange that have to do with today.
I know, what? I was very sad looking at the orange. I was thinking about this dark, depressing day. But yes, it's Inauguration Day. We wanted to do a presidential film. So we decided on Air Force One. A couple reasons we're doing this. That awful man that's about to be in office apparently loves this movie and loves the president in this movie. He's a big fan of it.
President Marshall.
Yes, President Marshall. And when we get into the film a little bit, I'll talk about how much he loves the soundtrack to this film. But also, Harrison Ford is going to be playing a president this year in the new Captain America movie, which I think they started filming in 2019. They've been filming this movie for a long time. And
COVID, Tony.
Huh?
COVID.
No, actually, you know what? I think they started filming it after COVID, but they just keep rewriting and reshooting the movie.
Is it that bad?
I don't know. Maybe they're making it better, but I think like entire plot lines were deleted.
It's going to be great if it is bad after all this.
Oh, it's going to be hilarious.
After 6 years, it's just like
most
this
new Marvel stuff is really bad, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be shocked. What'd you call it? I think the wrestler Seth Rollins was a major character in the movie. He's now out of the movie. He's just completely gone. But yes, Harrison Ford is taking over as Thunderbolt Ross because William Hurt died.
Thoughts and prayers.
Now, for me, I was just like, well, why don't you get Sam Elliott, who I know you're a fan of? He was on that.
I am a big fan of Sam Elliott.
He played the same character in an older Hulk movie, which not a lot of people like. I love it, but I'm like, yeah, why don't you just get him? He already played the character; it'll be fun. But they were like, no, he doesn't sell tickets. We need Harrison Ford.
I think Sam Elliott would make a great president.
Yeah, he would be really good. And also, Harrison Ford selling tickets. They clearly did this before Indiana Jones 5 came out.
Also, I learned that Kevin Costner was projected to be the president in this movie, and he was filming The Postman during the time, so he couldn't do it. He would have made a really good president as well.
He would have been good. You don't know how bad that decision was.
I don't.
Oh, it's bad. This movie almost got destroyed, and Postman ended up getting destroyed by another film.
Really?
But yeah, so I thought let's go back and watch Air Force One and see the first time Harrison Ford was a president. Was he president in the Jack Ryan movies? No, I don't think he was. Did you ever see his Jack Ryan? I know you like the show, but did you ever watch the old Jack Ryan?
I only watched the show.
Huh?
I only watched the show.
Yeah, I'm not too big into Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan movies. The first one with Alec Baldwin, I know he's annoying. I mean, no, Alec Baldwin's great. That one's really good. Hunt for Red October. His aren't that great. I know Jack Ryan eventually becomes the president in the books, but I don't know if the movies ever got there. Like you said, Kevin Costner was offered the role.
Yes.
He turned it down for The Postman. This movie came out, I think, in July. And like I said, it dodged a bullet. Actually, it dodged an iceberg. Titanic was supposed to come out in July, like right around the release of this. But they ended up postponing Titanic and pushing it to December because they wanted more time. It was like over budget and stuff. And I think the head of Fox thought like this movie was better. I think there's like a quote of him when he finally watched Titanic. He said, well, it's no Air Force One. So this movie did really, really well. It was like the 5th highest grossing film of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was really good.
Yeah, but then Titanic comes out a week after The Postman and just destroys The Postman. The Postman didn't do well, but then Titanic killed it. So Kevin Costner skipped this film to do The Postman, and then Titanic murdered his movie.
That's true.
It's like one of the worst decisions you possibly could have done.
You should have just done this.
It's directed by the late Wolfgang Peterson, who actually last year we covered his Never-Ending Story.
Oh, he did that?
Yeah, it's overrated. Our episode didn't do well because we called it overrated.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Remember how sad the horse is?
Yeah.
When you
like
watch
a horse,
it,
like a dog thing.
huh?
It was like a dog horse. The thing that flew, right?
Oh yeah, the luck dragon.
Yeah.
The horse dying is not sad when you're an adult because you don't know how it has a name until 2 seconds before it dies, and it literally does nothing before then. I remember as a kid, I thought it was the most devastating thing, and then when me and Nice Doug reviewed it, we're like, "Wait, it's actually not that sad. I didn't care about the horse."
Yeah.
But yeah, he actually directed a lot of great films. One day, I'd like to talk about The Perfect Storm. Which is
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It's like one of the first DVDs we ever got was The Perfect Storm.
Yeah, I really like that movie.
I remember really liking it too. He would have been the original director of Batman versus Superman. Never happened. But yeah, he was able to do this. Jerry Goldsmith did the music within like 12 days. They had Randy Newman from Toy Story do the music. And like right at the end of the like production, they're like, "This sucks. Get Jerry Goldsmith in here." Yeah, and it's just it's a very interesting film. I'm not sure where I'm going to land on it. I'm hoping I figure out if I like this movie or not toward the end of the film. But yeah, let's. Oh wait, have you ever seen this before? Before I told you?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't really remember it. So
yeah, this is actually one of my favorite.
I probably seen it in 1997.
Probably.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite genres, the Die Hard knockoff genre.
It did remind me a lot of Die Hard.
Yeah. After Die Hard, we got a lot of Die Hard parodies, like Die Hard on a battleship under siege. Die Hard on a train under siege 2. Oh God. Die Hard on a boat. Speed 2 cruise control. Then someone said, "Hey, let's do Die Hard on a plane."
We got to cover all modes of transportation here.
Yes. Turns out the plane one they've done many, many times because they did Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, which is awesome. They did Turbulence, and actually, the same year this came out, Con Air came out. So we got 2 Die Hard on a plane.
Yes.
So yeah, I like the genre, but for whatever reason, I didn't watch this one too much. I was excited to revisit it. So it opens up, right? It opens up with a military operation. These guys are parachuting into Kazakhstan to take down a general, played by Jürgen Prochnow, who's been in a bunch of movies. He was in the original Dune. Actually, 2 members from Dune are in this. He was in Judge Dredd. He's a good actor. But the theme, the parachutes, this is my favorite fact, was used by Donald Trump for his campaign. While he was campaigning, he really liked Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack and this opening theme. He used it during his campaign. And then, this is a little mean, after Hillary Clinton's concession speech, he then came out to this music. He apparently was using it so much that the producers of the film asked him to stop using it.
That's great.
He also said he loved the president, and they told Harrison Ford this, and Harrison Ford's response was, "It's just a movie."
Of course that was his response.
Funny enough, I was looking up the novelization of the film. He's a Republican.
Oh, really?
He's described as a Republican Bill Clinton in the novelization.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Clinton was the president at the time. Fun fact, he really loved this movie. He actually watched it twice.
He watched it twice. Actually, Harrison Ford is the reason they were able to actually visit Air Force One and take like pictures and stuff.
Yeah, because they wouldn't even let the director go on.
Yeah.
And look at it.
They were like, "German director, get out of here." But then Harrison Ford.
Bill Clinton said there is no parachute ramp on the actual Air Force One.
Yes,
or
the escape pod.
Yeah, which the escape pod's a great idea.
I don't know. I can see how it could go wrong. I can see how the escape pod could go wrong.
Yeah.
Depending on where it lands. The escape pod idea has been used in a bunch of movies, but I think the most famous one was Escape from New York, because the president leaves in an escape pod and lands in New York, which is a big prison. I mean, they say there's no escape pod, but I don't know if whenever they answer that question, they had just peeled an orange and they're going like this.
Yeah, maybe. Damn oranges.
Yeah. Now, I'm not a military guy. I know we have some in our audience. If you're doing a covert operation,
thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you for your service. If you're doing a covert operation and you need to go in at night, would you fly in with bright white parachutes?
No, I don't think so. That might be a bad idea.
I get in a movie you want it so it stands out against the black background, but I was watching it, I'm like, that'd be really easy to spot. Like the guards have no idea. I'm like, you don't notice like 6 guys in white parachutes coming down. But they come down, they capture Radek, this radical Kazakh general who apparently has a bunch of nuclear weapons at his disposal. They escape in a helicopter. They blow up the roof. It's a pretty exciting scene. It's a good time. Then we find out that this was a joint operation from Russia and America. Now, this movie was like post Cold War, where like Russia and America were like kind of cool before Putin came in and kind of like hurt relations a little bit. I keep forgetting about that because I was young and I didn't really notice. But when you go back and watch all these old movies, it's like Russia and America, we're best friends now. And I'm like, oh yeah, now that I'm older, I realize that was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? They're doing this whole speech about this joint operation, how they got this guy out of power, and they want to celebrate President James Marshall. And he comes up, and this is when, upon a rewatch, this movie completely lost me. It lost me, Prison Mike.
How so?
He comes up and he goes, I'm supposed to be congratulated, but I only acted when America was threatened. And I'm watching this. I'm like, good. You should only do it when America's threatened. That's the only time you should get involved. And he's like, but I went to a refugee camp today and I realized how bad it was. And he goes,
never again will I allow our political self-interest to deter us from doing what we know to be morally right.
Post-War on Terror, this is a hard scene to watch because I'm just looking at the screen and I'm going, no, don't do it. It's a waste of time.
It's never going to end.
So that really colored my viewing of the film, but I could see in the 90s thinking this was like awesome. Then we get introduced to Gary Oldman and the Russian news crew. I recognize 2 of the guys in his crew. One of them is Peter Parker's landlord in Spider-Man 2 and 3.
Interesting.
That guy, he's like the second, he's the pilot dude. And the other one is famous.
He was the one that was the pilot?
Yeah.
Dude, there was a scene when he was driving a plane, and it just looked like he was like taking the worst poop of his entire life.
Like, lifting
why is he driving the plane like this? Like, it's not that serious, man. He's got a couple controls here and there. But I was like, that's such a poop face he was
making.
Leave
Mr. Dictovich alone, okay? He was a terrible landlord, but he's a nice guy.
Hell of a pooper.
And then the other one is Andrew Divoff, aka the evil Jinn from Wishmaster 1 and 2. I actually have an action figure of him in the cabinet, but I didn't feel like pulling it out. Are you looking for Wishmaster 2?
Yeah.
It's the one that has the autograph saying, "To Tony, go fuck yourself," from the director. I saw Andrew Divoff, and I'm like, oh man, I wish he had a bigger part. Wishmaster 1 and 2 are good.
That actually looks like Gary Oldman right there in Air Force One.
A little bit. Fun fact. So the Wishmaster 2 episode is not available on YouTube. Unless you're in Germany, actually. It's the only place it's not copyright stricken. But it's on Rumble, Odyssey, on the podcast feed. Real quick, the reason it says "to go fuck yourself," he's an evil genie. And in that movie, he gets sent to prison. And this guy's like, my lawyer really screwed me. If I had one wish, I wish he'd go fuck himself. And the genie's like, granted. Then he meets with his lawyer, and the lawyer's like, I have new evidence that's going to get you off scot-free. But then he literally, his feet bend backwards, and he starts fucking himself.
Oh, it's nice. Real nice.
So, of course, when I met the director, I was like, you got to put this on the tape. Anyway, I was glad seeing Andrew Divoff in it because he plays a really good bad guy. I was hoping he'd have an even bigger part in this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they pass security, posing as the press, and they get access to the plane. They're greeted by the press secretary, who's very nice, who apparently was, like, based off of whoever on Air Force One gave them the tour. Like, the writers of the film based this character off her, and then they all felt bad when they killed her character.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, now we feel bad because we made this character and then we just shot her in the face.
Oh, yeah, it was brutal.
Speaking of, this movie is very violent.
It's very violent, yeah.
Harrison Ford.
I really enjoyed the fight scenes and the shooting scenes.
Yeah, the fighting scenes are good.
Really cool.
It's bloodier than I remember it, but Harrison Ford was trying so hard to get a PG-13 rating for this.
Really?
He did not succeed.
Yeah.
He succeeded with another movie, but it's like, dude, you have like bullet holes in people's heads and blood spraying.
Yeah.
These days they get around it. Like in PG-13 movies, people are always getting shot and it's like puffs of dirt or smoke shoot off them, not blood. That's how they PG-13 movies are actually more violent than rated R movies.
Oh, really?
But since they don't show the blood, they get around it. It's a stupid system. The fucking MPAA makes no goddamn sense. So the head of the NSA rightfully chews out the president. He's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Why would you make a statement like that? That's going to cause a lot of problems. And he's just like, we talked about it. He's like, in private.
That reminds me of another president that would just say stuff off the wall. They probably weren't meant to say, but, you know.
Prison Mike, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't follow politics.
Same.
So yeah, we're learning how super advanced the plane is, like the escape pod and stuff. I don't feel like she should be telling people where the escape pod is. I feel like that should be private. The funny thing enough, I ended up looking up pictures of Air Force One, and it kind of looks like Air Force One, but like they recreated like a few rooms, and that's it. The actual Air Force One is actually really big.
Yeah.
And we never really get to see the rest of the plane. We just see a little bit of the cargo bay and then just like the same 4 rooms over and over again, which makes it real claustrophobic, which I kind of like. It's fun in the suspenseful film. But then when you see the actual Air Force One, you're like, oh, there's a lot of room for them to do stuff. So everyone wants to talk to the president. And I like this little bit where he just wants to watch the game.
Yeah, and just drink Bud Heavies.
Yeah, he just wants to drink Bud Heavies. He wants to watch the game. And he doesn't want anyone to ruin the score. And people keep almost doing it. And I love the whole like, no. And I love the buildup where he gets into the room. The guy just gives him the score right away.
It's funny. Notre Dame's in that. He wants to watch the Notre Dame game, and they just made it to the championship. Ironic.
Yes. That game, I actually think, I was looking up the trivia, was like a game that was recorded in like 1992. It was like an old game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Then the first lady, Grace, and her daughter, Alice, board the plane. That daughter was bothering me because I knew her from somewhere.
The Little Princess?
Yes. It's weird. I saw that movie once in the 90s.
I never heard of that movie. When I looked it up and looked up about this movie, I seen that she was in it.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I know that girl's face. And I'm like, yeah, it was the Little Princess, which I couldn't.
She didn't have any more, like, too many other cameos.
Huh?
She didn't have any other
cameos.
She was like,
did like one other thing after. She is part of like a super wealthy family.
Yes.
And I forget the name of it. It's not whatever her name is.
No, it's something with like a P or something. Something longer, but yeah, she's like pretty much like royalty.
Yeah, but then she ended up like suing and like it was like a whole thing.
Suing what?
She ended up like, I guess because like her parents divorced and there were arguments over like the trust fund and stuff. So she went on to like a big lawsuit. She won a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's why she stopped acting. She didn't need to do it ever again. But yeah, they board the plane. So the whole first family is on the plane.
Speaking of which, she probably stopped acting because that one part in that movie, I know we'll probably get to it. But man, when Gary Oldman, when they go kiss her, and like he was like borderline ready to make out with like a 12-year-old. I'm like, this is really weird.
Yeah,
this is like borderline creepy.
Yeah,
and then like he just like kind of went around her lips and like kissed her on the head. And I was like, that is just way bizarre.
Gary Oldman is a really good bad guy.
Yeah,
he's a really good bad guy. He plays a really good creep, and he was on fire in the 90s with like Dracula, The Professional, Fifth Element, and he ended up sinking the Titanic. No, we joked. We did Lost in Space, the 1998 Lost in Space. We did that a few months ago. But that movie famously stopped Titanic's like reign at the box office after like 20-something weeks. Like that movie had to come out and kill it.
Yeah.
One of the best actors ever, Gary Oldman. And I feel bad because I got rid of the Dracula mask on set, or I also would have pulled it out.
Yeah, should have kept it up there.
Yeah, look, I would, but I realized now when I bought it why the person who sold it to me kept it in a plastic bag. It turns out when you take latex out from 1992, it just starts to deteriorate. So it's now in a plastic bag in a closet. Alice, the first, what did they call him? The first daughter, I guess?
I called her the first daughter.
Yeah. She's sad that she didn't get to go to the refugee camp. I mean, I don't really want to go to it. They're sad.
Yeah. I mean, she's old enough now, Tony.
Yeah, she's 12 years old.
Yeah,
What'd you say? Old. In caveman times, she'd have like a kid by now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a weird justification.
That was. But
I'm like, you got to go to the ballet. Let me know any 12-year-old girl who wants to go to a refugee camp instead of the ballet.
None of them.
None. So yeah, the NSA guy ruins the president's makeout session. apparently you just walk into the president's room.
Yeah, dude's just ripping butt heavy. He's trying to make out with his wife.
I know.
Until he gets blocked.
I don't know why this Secret Service guy's not at the door doing his job.
I don't know.
I like seeing William H. Macy in this. He's the head of the Air Force.
He was so young in this.
He is.
Oh, holy crap.
He is. He's the head of the Air Force, I think, or at least he's part of the Air
Yeah.
Force. Although he doesn't know how to fly a plane. Well, that was a fun thing. He lets them know that Saddam is up to no good. A president wants to fight terror, and suddenly Iraq is involved? Who could have predicted this?
No way.
The Secret Service guy, played by, I think it's Xander Berkeley, he always plays an asshole.
Yeah, he looks very familiar, too.
I don't know what you would know him from. I know him.
Maybe he just looks like somebody I know.
He's the asshole foster dad in Terminator 2, and he's the cheating husband in Candyman. That's where I kind of know him from. But he's in a ton of. You ever see Terminator 2?
No.
Oh, darn. I was going to say, he's the guy who gets the knife through the head. Look up his IMDb. You'll probably see some. He's one of those guys who's in a ton of things.
Yeah.
He ends up killing the rest of the Secret Service.
Which that Secret Service is bizarre anyway. Because in the middle of this fight scene, they just take the president through the middle of a live full-blown war.
Yeah.
Like, that is wild. Like, that's exactly where you don't take the president in the middle of gunfire.
Yeah, but he is a mole inside. Yes. He kills those guards and he opens up like the armory on the thing, which allows the Russian crew, who are actually terrorists, to take over. Were you confused about why he was doing it?
A little, yeah. Yeah,
they chose to just... He had a whole reason for why he was doing it, and they chose to just not film any explanation.
So are you going to tell me the reason?
Yes. It seems like there were two reasons, but the one was that he apparently was like a big deal during the Cold War. And then after the Cold War died, I guess he got moved to Secret Service, and he felt like it was like beneath him, and he ended up having resentment or something. And I think I read another one where he was like always a USSR sleeper agent that like just never got activated. So like this is his like thing that he can do now.
Yeah.
And he worked with, in both versions. I think he was previously CIA. He had worked with these guys before. These like, I guess they're like KGB or something. So he's like worked with them before. So he knew to recruit them to pull this off. But they decided to just cut out the whole backstory. He was supposed to join the terrorists early and reveal himself. And they thought they thought it'd be more suspenseful if the audience knew that he was a bad guy and no one else did toward the end. So you're constantly waiting the whole movie for him to do something. And it's actually way more effective than it should. I'm just sitting there. I'm like when he hands him the gun later on, I'm like, oh no, don't hand that guy the gun. Don't hand that guy the gun.
I know. I was like, oh.
But he is the king of like suspicious faces. Like every shot with him early on, it'll always be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then the camera lingers on him and he goes, and it's like, oh, that guy's up to no good.
Yeah, and I was even like waiting for like the Russian terrorist. Ullman to make eye contact with him.
Yeah.
When they were in like the room with everybody and they were picking off hostages.
Yeah.
And they just didn't make eye contact. I'm like, yeah, they're really keeping this really discreet.
Yeah.
So
they don't want people to know.
Yeah.
He kills them. They take over the plane. A base in Germany scrambles some jets to go to Air Force One because they know something's happened here. I have a question. How do none of these bullets destabilize the cabin pressure? Like not one bullet made it through the hole?
I'm assuming, yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's Air Force One.
Yeah.
So it's built a little bit stronger.
You almost called it Trump Force One.
Yeah, I did. Oops.
I assume it's strong too, but I'm like, I don't know how realistic this is. I feel like one.
I know, but then I'm like, it's Air Force One. It's a movie.
Yeah,
so we'll just keep
I'm
going.
just saying from like the terrorist point, it's not as dumb as something a terrorist does way later in the film. But I'm just like, I'd be conserving ammo, and I'd be also too afraid of shooting a window. I mean, one or two bullets fine, but if you keep shooting, I'm like, something's gonna happen. And then we meet the lady vice president.
The lady vice president.
Only in the movies.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we were all saying in the 90s. Only in the movies.
Only in the movies. And even she knew she couldn't be the president because she refused to sign. Like, we know females can't be president. Come on.
I don't know what you're talking, Dad. We wanted that. That's why we're so sad.
Yeah.
She was like a last minute addition to the film, I think. I don't know who they had before her. I think it was always going to be a female.
They kind of made her look like, I mean, it's Glenn Close. I mean, they kind of like made her look like Hillary Clinton, the short blonde hair.
Kind of. Well, that was apparently her own wig. She like wore her own wig for the film.
Oh, really?
Because she had done some other movie and her hair was way too short. So she wore the wig. She liked the role. She cries a little bit at some point, but the only like change to the script was she was supposed to like break down and cry. And she's like, nah, I want to show that like even under pressure, I can still control myself. Only in the movies.
Only in the movies.
But no, she does a good job in the role. So during all this chaos, the president's pod.
I like when they saw like, what they say they were about sweating through her silk blouse.
Oh yeah, that's about to come up. Yeah,
I was crying.
Gary Oldman keeps mentioning her blouse.
He's such a pervert.
But during all this, the escape pod launches.
Pod has been destroyed. I repeat,
This is kind of like an early example of not the best effects. The CGI parachutes that come out of this thing. This movie goes back and forth between having really good effects and some of the worst I've ever seen. How did you feel?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because you told me about it, and I was like, this ain't that bad. Like, the fight scene's really cool or whatever. And then I seen the clouds, and I was like, that is awful.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, they're really not that bad. Like, and then the rest of the movie, it was like not that bad. So I really didn't know what you're talking about until I seen the end and I seen the plane crash.
Yep.
And that's when I was just like, oh my gosh,
There's some like
awful.
there's some bad examples. I was actually watching a whole documentary.
It almost looked like a video game at the end.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary with the guys who built the miniatures for the film. So this is early CGI, early digital compositing. Things were still new at the time, so the miniatures look great. They all look great, but then they're against these like digital backgrounds, and they don't really match up quite right. And you see the miniature guys like be upset. They're like, yeah, we're real proud of our work. And then we see some of the digital planes and we were like, look away. Don't look at this part. Because it really is back and forth throughout the whole movie. Like the fire and water looked really bad in the 90s.
Yeah.
Digital fire and water, they should not have done that.
No.
They try to land the airplane and the terrorists break into the cockpit. They use explosives to break the door.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm like, I don't know if I would have done that, to be honest.
Not on a plane.
I don't know if I would have done that while it was in the air. Maybe when they land, I would have tried it out, but I wouldn't have been that brave.
That was some real risky business they were playing with on that plane.
Yeah. So they break them in. They force the pilots to go back in the air. They end up just shooting the pilots and taking over. Well, they kill the one. They shoot the other. And they get him out of there. And then Peter Parker's landlord, that's just what I'm going to call him, Mr. Dictovich, he ends up flying the plane for the rest of the film. They almost crash. This is a weird example when the plane is like, does that sharp turn and it looks so bad.
Yeah.
And this is the scene where I think it looks like he's shitting himself because he's almost about to crash into another plane.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so they're able to get it into the air just in time. Then we see Dean Stockwell as the defense secretary. I love Dean Stockwell. Did you ever watch Quantum Leap?
No, never even heard of it.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's a good 90s show. Scott Bakula is a scientist, and he like time travels into other people's bodies, and he's got to fix things that were wrong with their life. He's like, oh no, I'm in this guy's body, and he's sad. I got to fix him. And then he quantum leaps to someone else. But the only person who can see him is a guy from the future who's like a hologram, and it's Dean Stockwell.
What channel was that on?
I don't remember. They tried to bring it back a few years ago, and it sucked.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the 90s one was fun. It was fun.
90s were a lot better.
Yeah. So he's the defense secretary, and his like arc throughout this film is I want to be in charge. Because right away he's like, well, this is a military thing, so I'm in charge. And she's just like, I actually don't know if you are. And he's like, I'm gonna kill this woman. For a minute I kept like waiting for him to be a bad guy, but he was just an asshole.
Yeah, he was just an asshole.
And also, there's a bunch of big character actors in the scene, but the one that this channel will know is the one black guy who keeps coming in is the mayor from RoboCop 2. It's for the Hack Movies fans. I kept seeing him like, where's that guy from? Like, it's the mayor from RoboCop 2. The terrorists are pissed because they found out the escape pod launched.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, we wanted the president. They're like, okay, well, I guess we'll settle for everyone else, but like the president was kind of like the big one.
Have to pick off these hostages every half hour.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that is not enough time.
It's really not enough time. Because what? There was like 50 hostages, I think.
But I guess when there was that many, you had to limit the time.
And I like Gary Oldman's freak out. Gary Oldman freakouts are great when he just screams and yells. I can watch that guy scream and yell constantly. They threaten his wife and daughter, so at least they have the first family there. But yeah, the military finds the pod empty.
That got me good. I was not expecting that. I was like, holy crap.
Wait, you were expecting him to actually be in there?
Yeah, I was.
What did you think the rest of the movie was going to be?
I don't know. I was like, oh, he's not in there. Holy crap.
The rest of the movie is just Harrison Ford listening to his family get shot and being like, I'm real sad about it.
I don't know. I was like, oh, okay. Because he was in there. They shut the door and they sent it on its way.
Yeah.
And he wasn't in there.
But he apparently snuck into some kind of shoot or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he stayed to save his family.
He probably went through the ventilation system.
Yeah. If his family wasn't there, would he have just gotten on the pod?
1,000%.
I would have gotten on the pod.
Yeah.
Nothing would have stopped me from getting in that pod.
I wouldn't go in there without my family. But
I feel really bad about it, Prison Mike, as I'm shutting the door to the pod and being like,
oh, man. It was fun while it lasted, guys.
good luck. I'll do my best.
I'll remember you forever.
Don't worry, honey. The head of the Secret Service will keep you safe, not realizing.
Yeah.
So this is the scene where the terrorists talk to the vice president and they just completely demean her. They're like, are you sweating through your blouse? But yeah, he tells him his whole deal. He is a neo-Russian nationalist. He hates the new regime. He hates the capitalists in Moscow, and he wants them to rise up, and he wanted to use Radek's military arsenal to do it. And if they don't release the general, they will kill someone like you said, every 30 minutes. Which is rough. Again, yes. I don't think that's a lot of time. The White House then finds out the pod is empty. They assume he's dead. And they suggest that, and then someone else suggests that he might try to save the plane, which the vice president is not happy about. She's like, he should not be up there. He needs to be out of that plane. He totally screwed up. The defense secretary is begging them not to release the general. And I'm kind of on his side.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on his side.
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah, because he literally is like 50 people against a like genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, one of them's the president. And I'd be like, I don't care. Like, no, we're not going to have a future president if you let that guy out.
Yeah, seriously.
So again, I'm against the president because I don't like his policy. I'm against this vice president because she's about to let she's like, we caught him before. We could catch him again. It's like, or we could just not do that. It's really hard for me to be invested in this movie, Prison Mike. It's like, I hope they get out of this situation, but let me just say, I will not be reelecting James Marshall.
Yeah, he would not get a second term.
I'm glad you saved your family, buddy, but you kind of caused that situation.
As of now, he won't get a second term. At the end of the movie, maybe.
The president puts on the game, the audio from the game to distract the terrorist. A dead man's watch goes off, which leads him into another room. They eventually fight, and he takes his gun, but then he screws up by not killing him.
I was so mad at that part. So mad. I'm like, you got to kill him. And you got to take his vest. You need that and kill his ass.
But he does it. And for a minute, I was just like, maybe he's never killed before. But they mentioned he's like a war hero. He was like in Vietnam. Yeah. And I'm like, why?
And I'm like, maybe he thought he killed him the way he knocked him out. But still, like, you got to finish the job.
I guess it's different.
Your family's on this plane. You're on this plane.
I guess it's different between like dropping a bomb and machine gunning like from a plane and instead of just shooting a guy. I can see maybe it's a little different.
Know. Plus, I mean, your whole family's on this plane. You got to do everything you can to protect them. I
mean, I wouldn't do that, but he should do that. I'd be hiding in that chute or the pod.
Yeah, you would be in the pod.
But yeah, he totally screws up by not killing him. And the terrorists now know that someone is on board. And this also starts to feel like Die Hard, where they think Bruce Willis is a security guard because they don't know who he is.
Yeah.
They're really taking beats from Die Hard, but everyone was at that point. You know, it's a good one. Oh, I think they're remaking it. You ever see Cliffhanger with Stallone?
No, but I heard it's really good.
It's Die Hard on a mountain. John Lithgow's the bad guy, which I know you like because he's from Dexter.
Yes.
And I think they're remaking it with a lady now, so skipping that one. They also made a movie last year called Air Force One Down, where I guess terrorists take over Air Force One, but it's a lady who has to stop them, and I'm like, skipping that one.
What's next, Ghostbusters?
No, bad news. They already did it. I said earlier the Air Force One should be bigger. I actually, for this, I like that it's smaller because these scenes are very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Because it's like, where can he hide? There's actually not a lot of room for him to hide. So him avoiding them, I was actually real invested in.
Yeah.
The vice president calls the Russian president and she's just begging him. She's like, please free him. And he's like, no, I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
he's like, it's not my problem, sorry.
Yeah, he really
And
should.
just pretty much hangs up on.
We really need to adopt the seems like a you problem line of thinking. I've adopted that recently. That's my motto going forward. It seems like a you problem. He tells him, though, he's like, if I knew the president was alive, I would consider it. But if he's dead, I'm not letting him out.
Yeah.
The terrorists, they prepare to kill the first hostage because time's up. And the NSA guy begs to talk to the VP. He's like, look, man, I can help you out. I can talk to her. I'm like the highest ranking guy. They'll listen to me. The call doesn't go the way Gary Oldman wants it, so he just shoots the NSA guy. I don't even think the NSA guy gets to talk to the vice president.
No, I don't. Yeah.
He didn't even give him I would have had him at least heard him out.
I mean, half hour is half hour.
So he shoots him, and then he takes the first family up into like the cockpit area. You're right. The scenes with him and the daughter are weird because he tries to sympathize with the daughter.
It was so creepy.
Yeah, but he like wants her to
typical
like
Hollywood being Hollywood in that scene.
Yeah, but he like wants her to be on his side. He's like, your dad has killed people. I'm a father and a son and all this stuff. And she's like, okay. Like, I get the point he's trying to make, but he's not doing a good job of selling it. So yeah, he's basically being like, your dad is just as evil as me. It's like, dude, you're not going to sell her on this idea. Why are you
seriously,
even
it's her dad, dude.
The president finds a cell phone and he's able to call the White House. And I do love that.
Just to like whip out the owner's manual for it.
Yeah. But yeah, and I like that the girl is just like giving him shit.
Okay, sir. You want to make a federal case out of this? Fine by me.
She's like, you're not the president. It's like,
yeah.
yes, I am. Trace the call. And then she's like, I'm sorry, Mr. President. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, dude. She was probably having such anxiety about like work on Monday after that. She was like, oh, man.
And during this, Andrew Divoff starts searching for him. And I like that they get the call through to like the war room or whatever. And he's got the phone in his pocket and he's talking to the terrorists.
Yeah.
But giving them the orders. He's like, I bet you're really scared if someone were to shoot a missile at the plane. But don't be terrorists because the flares will come out and it'll just be a shockwave and knock us down. And if I'm the terrorist, I'm like, why are you telling me all
Yeah, he was
this?
just like, shut up.
He's like, shut up. I really don't want to think about that right now. But he's doing it for them. But it's funny because they're like, he wants us to fire on Air Force One. And everyone's hesitant. And the vice president's like, he just gave you a direct order.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Yeah, no, she is kind of wrong. That is not a direct order. That's like a sneaky, like,
It was a direct
order.
order without being a direct order.
I still would not trust this plan. Like, I know it could technically work, but I'd still be really nervous about it. They shoot the missile. It disengages the autopilot. The missile causes the shockwave, which knocks them. This is a big risk just to knock a terrorist over.
Yeah.
Take his guy. But yeah, he learned his lesson because he ends up choking out Andrew Divoff and killing him. He learned from the last guy that you should probably kill the terrorist who's attacking
Yeah, definitely.
you.
Good idea.
So yeah, he ends up being on the phone. He gets updated on the situation, on who the people are. He talks to the VP one-on-one. He's like, don't you release that goddamn general. He's like, you do not release that general.
Just like we said, don't release him.
Don't release him. It'll cause so many more problems. That'd be like releasing a guy known as the Lord of War for a basketball player. I mean, who would do such a thing?
I have no idea.
Who would do such a thing?
That would be wild.
So yeah, he's trying to figure out how to sabotage the plane. And then Gary Oldman requests that the press secretary join him. And he questions her. He's so evil. And apparently, like, they loved working with him on set because
He's a so I'm not surprised that he's so evil.
We say Cuties fan on the show.
No, excuse me, he's a Cuties fan.
YouTube is still not a free speech platform, Prism.
Oh man,
X is a free speech platform, although you have to censor. Elon Musk looks like such an idiot. He's like, we're a free speech platform. Then he like retweets someone when they're censoring the word kill or shoot because they know it'll hurt advertisers. Like, you realize this proves that it's not. My favorite though recently is some guy went on a podcast. Did you see the guy who shot himself on the podcast?
no.
Some guy was on a podcast. He had a gun in his pocket. He like went to scratch himself, and the gun went off.
What?
But
What podcast was this?
I don't know. I'll send you the clip. It's pretty funny. But people on Twitter, these big accounts on Twitter that are monetized, are so scared of losing monetization, even though it's a free speech platform. They have to censor shooting. So people keep sharing the story, but they censor shoot, but they just get rid of like the O's. So it just looks like, yeah, everything, dude. It's been thrown. Anytime there's a shooting, people censor it, and I just keep thinking it says shitting, and it keeps throwing me off. It's literally like podcaster shits himself. I'm like, why is that a big story? I'm like, oh shoot! Oh my god,
that would be so funny. Oh my gosh, I think I'd rather see that. Oh, yeah, you guys send me that.
I'll send it to you. I was so bad.
Also, speaking of free speech, Mark Zuckerberg's like, oh, the Biden administration forced me to do this. Well, you still did it, and now that there's a whole new regime in there,
I think he's trying. He's
sucking up. That's all he's doing.
He's always doing shady stuff, and I think like but whoever is in charge, he wants to pander to. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's one of those like, well, I'm glad you did it eventually, but I still don't fully trust you.
That one bit.
The censorship on Facebook was ridiculous. I posted, what was it, last year I posted how many subscribers I had because we hit a new milestone, and it took down my post.
Why?
And it said it was spam. And I'm like, no, I'm letting everyone know, like, we hit the subscribers. Like, no, this is spam. You're done. I remember Facebook kicked me off Facebook dating for 2 years. Remember that?
Yeah.
They asked me to scan my face to make sure I'm a bot. So I scanned it, and they went, you're a bot. And I'm like, wait, no, I'm not. So, yeah, the fact checkers aren't really the best there. Maybe they should be fired.
You have very bot features.
I guess I do. It didn't help I was wearing a robot mask in the picture. I probably should not have done that. Okay, yeah, so he's very scary. They enjoyed him being scary on set because, like, when the after the takes were done, he would just crack jokes and make like everyone laugh. So he was like really just in and out of the character. They
were throwing real punches at each other.
Yeah, apparently later on, like they're actually hitting each other.
And he said after the one scene, I guess where they're fighting, he said, "I can't believe I just punched Han Solo."
Han Solo. He tells the Secret Service. He tells the Secret Service agent. He also ate an orange. His Secret Service agent, because he doesn't know it's the president yet, to reveal himself, or he'll kill her. The president, he's like, well, that's not my wife or daughter, so she's expendable. And the poor press secretary just gets shot.
He's right to the pumpkin.
Again, he's shooting her like in the big control room. It's like, could you not do that here? Could you like go down to the cargo bay or something? Like, stop shooting people around all the important equipment.
I love how the first daughter was like so upset since she didn't get to see a refugee camp. And then she just gets to see people bloody murder right in front of her.
Right now, she's really appreciating.
I hope you're old enough for this now.
I hope she's really appreciating
12.
that ballet now. She's like, wow, ballet is way better than this. He intimidates the first lady and he yells at America again. Then the hostages are all questioning who the agent is, who this Secret Service agent is. And they're like, well, it's someone smart. He knows he has to conserve ammo and all this stuff. None of them in their wildest dreams could imagine it be the president, because what president would ever do that? Yeah. I can't think of a single president in my lifetime who wouldn't run to the escape pod right away. And I would not blame them for it, because I would do the same.
I mean, he pretty much stood up and yelled, fight, fight, fight.
No, I'd be running. I'd be flight as I'm running to the escape pod. So a bunch of Air Force guys are giving the president instructions on how to dump the fuel to the plane, which will force them to land. But he loses signal. He's got the green wire and the yellow wire and the red, white, and blue wire. And he loses it. He's like, don't let me down, red, white, and blue.
And he just totally risked it all.
He totally risked it all, and he did it. He dumps the fuel. God bless America. Then there's a big shootout, and the terrorists try to stop the leak. Gary Oldman then gets on the phone, calls the VP, and he's like, you got to fuel us in the air.
Yeah.
You better fuel us in there, which I realize I think there's also an air fueling scene in The Perfect Storm. So I guess Wolfgang Peterson really likes doing that.
Fueling scenes.
He's like, yeah, you got to send a plane up here right now to fuel us, or I'm going to kill a hostage a minute if she doesn't. It's like, dude, they gotta scramble a plane. They gotta clear the air. Like, you're gonna run out of hostages real quick.
This guy has no patience.
He has no patience whatsoever. I would say if you don't get it to me within the hour, I'm killing the first lady. Like, really make it serious, but a hostage a minute. I'm like, you're gonna run out of things to negotiate with pretty soon. The lady who knows about fax machines, they're not gonna scramble the jet for her, guy. You gotta like really relax. The president makes a terrorist take him to the hostages. So this is a big scene where they all find out. They're like, oh my God, it's him. And then good tension building. He gives the gun to the Secret Service guy.
Oh, yeah. I was like, no.
Yeah, I was like, no,
God,
no.
no.
And if I'm that terrorist right now, I'm looking at the Secret Service guy being like, are you gonna join it?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Help.
He almost made you seem like he was like, maybe he's not that bad. Like, did he actually like...
Well, it's one of
he didn't take action as soon as he handed him the gun. You're like, oh, well, what's going on?
Well, it's one
here?
of those. He wanted to see if he can get out of it. I don't think they want his cover blown because they can use him.
Yeah, and then he was like trying to help him the rest of the movie until the very end.
Yeah. Although I don't know how he would have got away with it long term. Someone eventually would do an investigation. They'll be like, there's no way they could have gotten those guns unless you did it. The Air Force guy, William H. Macy, he suggests that they jump out of the plane with parachutes. He's like, we have a shit ton of parachutes. If we drop down to 15,000 feet, we can jump and we'll be fine. But he tells him, he's like, I can't communicate with them. And then the girl is like, we can do the fax machine. It's a separate line and it'll be great. And I like that he tells her, if this works, I'm making you Postmaster General.
Yeah.
He like promises her a job. It does work.
It does work,
He
yes.
even gives her a little kiss. That was the happiest day of that lady's life when Harrison Ford kissed her. They sneak below. They get ready to jump. And then back at the White House, I always love when this actor shows up. I forget his name, but it's Bookman from Seinfeld. You ever watch the library episode of Seinfeld?
I did not, unfortunately.
It's my favorite episode, but he's the library cop, Bookman, which Kramer makes a joke about. He's like, that's like an ice cream man named Cone. And he's real serious about this book Jerry didn't return for 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shows up and they're arguing about the chain of command. Like the defense secretary really wants to be in charge.
So bad.
And the VP is screwing it up for him. And so they bring this guy in. He's like, it's not clear. He could be mentally compromised, emotionally compromised.
Yeah.
So he might not be able to command. So that's like another lingering plot thing we have. And at this point, the press finally finds out about the story. And CNN mistakenly thinks the plane crashed. I mean, CNN getting the news wrong? Only in the movies.
You know what? That's funny you say that because I said that was the first thing I thought. I was like, fake news. Saying the plane crashed and never even crashed. Total fake news. Typical CNN.
I don't know. They're the most reliable news source. Eventually, the vice president has to come out and clear the air. She's like, no. The Air Force One didn't crash. The president's alive. They're like, oh, thank God. She's like, but he's being held hostage on Air Force One. Everyone's like, I'm sorry, what? She's like, yeah, I'll tell you more later. I got to go back to the room now.
She had to circle back.
Yeah. Gary Oldman starts to kind of piece things together, but then he gets distracted because the plane arrives to refuel. An Air Force guy teaches them how the parachutes work, which I would need more than 2 minutes to learn how the parachute works. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm sorry, so it's this one and this one. I'm like, how do I steer? What do I do when I land?
Very, very brief, but
yeah, like it's very brief. I'm like, do I put my feet out? Where are we landing? Do we know where? I would have so many questions. Have you ever parachuted?
No,
I never want to do it.
I have no desire.
Neither do I.
I like adventures and stuff like that, but I think that the ride up there would be the worst part. Just knowing that I'm going to jump, and then I know like when you do it for the first time or first couple of times, they strap you on to them and they jump for you.
Yeah,
and a lot of times they'll go 1, 2, and then it'll jump.
I used to have a friend who did like the wingsuit and everything.
Really?
It'd be one of those things. I'm just like, I would just be too afraid to do it. As cool as it looks, I don't.
It looks
need
amazing, and I would probably love it, but I have zero desire.
Oh, you know, it was good. Movie that came out last year, VHS Beyond. It's like an anthology horror film.
Yeah,
it was all sci-fi related, but the one segment, it's a bunch of people about to like parachute, but then they crash into a UFO. But it's all like from their point of view, falling in the air with the it's like horrifying.
Really?
It's like the most horrifying thing ever. And then it gets ruined when they land. They land in an orange grove, actually. But no, the whole sequence of them crashing the ship and then parachuting and falling while everything's on fire, it's like really, really good. That'll get you anxious watching. I was getting anxiety watching. I'm like, I don't like this at all. This is rough.
Yeah, I would be very anxious going up to jump out of a plane.
Yeah. So yeah, the terrorists start to follow the instructions on how to refuel, and then the hostages start jumping out one at a time, and the green screen, blue screen effect is rough. It looks so awkward.
Yeah.
It looked really bad. Like, I get it. I get what they were trying to do, but it just looks really, really bad. And then the terrorists should have killed this terrorist when they learned what he did. He can't get into the room to stop everyone. So then he puts like a big, like, I don't know, it was like a hydrant or something, some kind of compressed air thing.
Yeah.
And he causes an explosion, which of course destabilizes everything. And like a bunch of the hostages just get sucked out. They're like, ah! I'm like, dude, you almost blew up the plane. You were almost killed everyone. I'm like, you are in a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah, you got to get off, dude.
And he's like, totally so. He's like, hey, everyone get back. It's like, we can't. We're being sucked out because you blew up the door. And I love at one point, he's just like, hey, stop trying to save that guy. And William H. Macy's like, no, that's the president. You're going to want him. Let me save him, please. Yeah, now the terrorists have all the first family hostage. And then the Secretary of Defense is still trying to outrank the VP. I think he has all the signatures and she just won't sign it.
Yeah.
To go over the president's
like
head.
I said, even she knows that woman can't be president.
I don't know what you're talking about, Prison Mike. They're the only ones that should be allowed to be president, I feel.
I mean, president of a book club or something.
I don't know what you're talking. Save those comments for Boys Month, please. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, the rest of the year we love women, and August comes around, then you can start bringing that stuff out. Gary Oldman and the president finally come face to face, and he tells the president to choose between his wife and daughter. If he doesn't free Radek, he's gonna kill one of them. He doesn't know that the president grabbed a piece of glass.
Yeah.
He slowly.
Which took him forever to cut that.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Which, by the way, they're using tape. You're telling me that whole armory, they didn't have like handcuffs?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something they would have. I feel like one of the dead Secret Service guys might have had handcuffs on
I think
them.
so, yeah.
But yeah, so Gary Oldman's yelling at him for ruining the Soviet Union, which he loved so much. But the president won't negotiate with terrorists. It's our policy.
Rule number one.
Yeah, you don't negotiate. But then he puts a gun to his daughter's head, and he just caves right away. He just caves right. He's like, release Radek, release the general. So the Russian president gets the call to do it. He reluctantly does it. The secretary has the signatures now. She won't sign. The general is released. And they plan to take the president hostage still. They're going to like pick up Radek or something. Or they're going to like fly to Kazakhstan and just keep him around so they can use him as a bargaining thing. The prisoners are all singing the song. And Gary Oldman is like super happy. And then the president frees himself and they start beating the shit out of each other. He kills Mr. Diktovich. Peter Parker doesn't know that rent anymore. He kills him. He's dead. And he kills the other terrorist. But Oldman's able to take the first lady hostage because he gets shot with the bulletproof vest and he grabs her down with him. If only the president had a bulletproof vest from a dead terrorist.
If only.
I get that it wouldn't look cool in all the promo stuff, but it would have been smart. And I love how cocky the general is being released. Like everyone just has to let him be released. And he's like, ha ha ha. He's signing the thing, puts his jacket on, which I don't think they kidnapped him wearing the jacket. So where did he get the military jacket from?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought they kidnapped him in pajamas. So that like confused me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's looking all snazzy. He's like, yeah, I'm getting out. He makes his way to the helicopter. The president, drops the gun while Oldman gets ready to parachute out of the plane. And Oldman is like dumping parachutes.
Yeah.
And he lets him know, he's like, you fucked up killing my guy. You now have no more pilot. Good luck, asshole. Somehow the president is able to like overpower him and they duke it out on the ramp. And then this is like the most famous moment in the movie. He wraps the strap around him and he just says,
Get off my plane.
pulls the parachute and then just snaps his
that was
neck.
cool, yeah.
That was cool. But then it's immediately ruined by him parachuting with the snap neck like on the green screen. It looks so stupid. I'm like, why'd you ruin it? Just have him fly away. Don't have him like sit there lingering like that.
It's funny, like I don't even notice these things, and you just like nitpick at all of it. And totally ruin it for yourself. I'm like, yeah, that was cool, man. He's just flying there dead.
It's cool if it snapped and he flew out. Like in Die Hard, when what's his face falls, would you like if they cut to just a puddle of his blood and him like flipping? And it would have looked. I'm like, no, just cut to the fall. We're good. He rushes to the phone to the intercom. He's like, never mind, put him back in jail. And like the Russian guards come out, and I love Radek runs to the helicopter. I'm like, dude, what did you think was gonna happen? They're just gonna shoot that helicopter down if you were to get on it.
Yeah, seriously.
So of course they kill him. They kill all the other guys at the helicopter. So the day is won. They freed him, or they'd stopped him from being free.
And that is when he won his second term.
So everyone is celebrating. They all think they're good because they don't know the Secret Service guy is still evil. Again, really good. You're like, oh fuck, there's still that one guy.
I know, and he wasn't doing anything. I'm like, maybe he is good. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
I'm
well,
wrong.
I mean, he can't really blow his cover now.
Right, yeah.
He has to pick a specific time to blow his cover. He probably was never going to blow his cover, to be honest.
Yeah.
They probably wanted to keep him in the Secret Service so they could do more of this. So they're giving him advice on how to fly the plane over the flown, because he is a pilot. In real life, he's a pilot. He crashes planes once in a while. But he is a pilot, but he's not used to, he's fighting like fighter jets. He's not used to flying like a big plane like that. So they're giving him advice. Then they find out that Kazakhstan's annoyed. So they send planes out there to down Air Force One. The VP scrambles some jets. I forgot that there's like a big aerial battle in this film toward the end.
That was cool too.
So one of the engines gets taken out. Then the jets attack each other, which it looks fine. The aerial battle looks fine.
Yeah. The USA only lost one out of that battle, I think.
Yeah, that guy sacrifices himself like real nobly. He's like, yeah. But then like 2 seconds later, they're like, yeah, Mr. President, you're probably going to die. And I'm like, oh man, I wish that guy knew that before he did that. It's like, I feel really bad for that guy now. But yeah, all the Kazakh planes are taken out. It's 2 damaged, so they're going to head toward the Caspian Sea. At the White House, everyone's doing a candlelight vigil. They're all sad. Which again, no matter who's in office right now, I can't imagine that happening these days. Like I just can't imagine.
Oh, I could.
I don't know. I can't imagine for both sides. I don't know who would want to go and light a candle for this.
Oh, I definitely could see that. Yeah.
I know you'd probably be there.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tony.
Oh, that's right. You wouldn't be there.
No.
You would have been there, but she lost. They get another plane to run a cable to Air Force One, and this looks bad. The CGI doubles going down the wire and the green screen, it just looks so bad. I'm just like, apparently, I don't know what the original ending of this was, but apparently they like rewrote the ending. I'm like, was the original one have looked as dumb as this looks? And it's not their fault. I mean, the effects were what they were at the time. Like, what are you going to do? So yeah, the guy runs a cable, and they're just going to like run people up they're going to run people up one at a time with the cable. Which again is like horrifying. I like that they have like air masks, but then none of the hostages do. And I'm like, how are they breathing up there? So yeah, there's only 2 minutes left, and the guy's like, I feel
like they could have done like 2 at a time. Like,
yeah,
they just really held on to each other.
They probably could have. But yeah, there's only 2 people, or only 2 minutes left, and the jumper is just like, hey, I can only bring one person, and of course the Air Force guy is like, well, you got to take the president. He's more important. You got to take him. And he's like, I'm sure the Secret Service guy would agree. Nope. Secret Service guy kills the parajumper. I wouldn't have killed him. I think I might have needed him. And they're like, it was you all along? And he's like, yeah, I'm not dying. Give me that cable. I'm like, dude, it's going to be real suspicious. You're not getting away with this.
Yeah.
It's going to be real suspicious.
You're the only one left.
Yeah, people are like, wait. So they said one person left and you came and not the president. You're clearly the bad guy. You're gonna like he would get on the plane and then they would just execute him.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell he was going to
you gotta get the guy an A for effort.
I mean, I get it. I also don't want to crash into the sea on a CGI plane, but you kind of lose both ways. Poor William H. Macy dies. That's how they got it. Like, they clearly wrote themselves in a corner, and they're like, oh, well, he dies here.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford has to fight the Secret Service guy. He's like, I trusted you in my life. He's like, so will the next president. And again, it's a little overconfident. It's like, no, dude, you're clearly getting
You're
in
dumb
trouble
for it, dude.
So they fight. I like that the cable's like breaking on the thing. And he jumps out of the plane. It's another CGI double, like swinging in the air, which I feel like at that like velocity and stuff, the harness would just split him in half.
Yeah.
Because of how fast they're going. And then, like you said earlier, we get the worst CGI plane crash ever. But I like that they zoom in on that guy in the doorway going, like he just puts his head down. And then the plane crashes. I don't know if you could you could still hear him screaming. Did you hear that?
No, I don't think I did.
So the plane that shows him, he goes like that. Then it cuts to a different model of the plane. He's no longer in the door. The plane hits the water, and you just hear that guy go, ah! I feel like they wanted to have him like digitally.
That's really funny though. At the same time,
I keep wanting to just add him falling out of like the door into the air or something, because you just hear him scream, but you don't see him on screen, and it looks so bad. It doesn't move realistically.
It looked like a video game. It's so fake.
We have since
I was like,
seen...
this is exactly what Tony was talking about.
Yeah,
bad graphics.
Yeah, and some of the fighter jet stuff looked rough too. But yeah, we've since seen.
I'm not as picky as you are, but
I'm very picky, I guess.
That airplane crash there.
We've seen better Air Force One crashes. Iron Man 3 has a really good one where like it blows up in air and he's got to catch all the hostages as they're falling. Or not hostages, I'm mixing the movie. He has to catch all the survivors as it's falling. That one was really good. I think there was like a few more. But yeah, this is like, unfortunately, it's like the big effect at the end of the movie, and it's the worst one. I'm like, oh, that's rough.
Hands down.
When it does like the little cartwheel spin, I'm like, no, that's so bad. So yeah, and then everyone celebrates. They're like, everything is great now. It's like,
but it's not great because you just lost so many people.
Yeah, he just lost all. Yeah, I think his whole cabinet's like pretty much dead.
It's gone, yeah.
And then back at home, they all kind of like were trying to outdo him, so he's kind of screwed. He's probably not winning an election.
I think he's definitely going to win a second term.
Yeah, Kazakhstan and Iraq now hate him. Like, this is the ending of this movie is actually not happy if you think about it. Also, I forgot to mention, the whole like who is in power came from, I think, when Reagan got shot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because someone, I think the Secretary of Defense thought it was them, and they didn't know like what the Constitution said because it had been updated and they weren't aware. Yeah. And there were arguments over who's technically in charge at that point. So I think they knew about that, so they worked that element in here.
Kind of like the last administration or the current one. Or the last one, actually. It's today's inauguration day.
Today's inauguration day.
So the last one.
Which, again, we're all...
No one knew who was really in charge. They had to probably invoke the 25th Amendment almost. Like, we didn't know.
But yeah, then the movie ends. How do you feel about Air Force One?
I thought it was Air Force fun. It was definitely fun. I liked it.
That sounds like an Adam Does Movies title. It was Air Force Fun.
It was Air Force Fun.
Yeah, I enjoy the action in it, the suspense, all the diehardness.
I did. I really enjoyed it.
The effects are a hit or miss. When they hit, they hit. When they miss, they miss.
Oh, and they missed, but they hit.
Unfortunately, the real world kind of colored my viewing of it. And actually, what's his name? Wolfgang Peterson said, like, post 9/11, he's like, if I got the script today, I probably wouldn't have made this movie. Yeah, it's hard to root for a president like who says that stuff at the beginning, knowing how it turned out in the real world. And it just like, I'm just thinking of all like the real life situations that would follow this event. I'm like, oh, it'd be a shit show. Like, it doesn't feel like a happy ending to me. It's just like, ugh.
It was definitely not a happy ending.
It's not my favorite Die Hard knockoff. You know, Speed gets included as a Die Hard knockoff, but it doesn't really feel like one. No. I guess it's just if you're a hero stuck in one location mostly, it's considered a Die Hard knockoff. But yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. Of course, Die Hard is the best. Passenger 57 is pretty good. Because you ever see it? Wesley Snipes?
No.
Oh, Wesley Snipes talks to the bad guy at one point on the plane, and he's like, "Hey, you ever play roulette?" And the bad guy is just like, "Yeah." And the camera zooms in on Wesley Snipes, and he goes, "Always bet on black," and he hangs up on him. That one scene is way better than all of this movie. But yeah, it's exciting. I still enjoy it, not as much as I probably would have in the 90s. But yeah, it's fun, and it's a good movie to watch on Inauguration Day.
It is. Happy Inauguration Day, everybody.
And we'll see how Harrison Ford does as the president in Captain America: Brave New World. He's also going to be the Hulk in that movie. Red Hulk. They're doing that. Yeah, there's a Red Hulk. I stopped reading comics when the Red Hulk showed up, so I actually don't. I know it's this character, but I don't really know what their deal is. But yeah, it's very exciting. And now, real quick, for our Patreon members and channel members, today is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yes, it is. Happy MLK Day,
Yes.
everybody.
And you're probably saying, Tony, you racist. You forgot. No, I didn't. On Patreon and for channel members right now, I reviewed the animated film Our Friend Martin. Did you ever see that one?
No.
It's about two kids who visit Martin Luther King's house, and it turns out his watch is magical, and then they time travel through all the important moments of Martin Luther King's life. And then they take him out of the timeline to the future. And it turns out if Martin Luther King didn't exist, we'd be in Terminator times or something. Anyway, I reviewed that with Manny Muskets, the best person I can think of to review that movie.
Why?
Because he's black.
Well, being a Patreon subscriber of yours, I'll have to check that out.
You would have to check it out. It'd be problematic if you didn't check it out, actually.
Yeah.
And if you guys think $2 is too expensive to watch me review a movie about Martin Luther King Jr., then you should really look in the mirror. What's that say about you? Tomorrow I'm gonna go on and realize I lost 1,000 patrons. I feel like I should run as president because I did something very noble.
What's that?
I signed into Patreon, right? And it let me know that my $5 tier, it's like, you have not updated this tier in a very long time. Consider raising the price. And I sat there and I was like, do I raise the price? Am I really going to be like that to raise the $5 tier? And then I remembered that Vito Gesualdi did it recently for Biggest Problem. The fans ripped him apart for it. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a stereotype. I don't want to be a greedy Italian like Vito Gesualdi. And I probably shouldn't be saying this because I'm going to crash at his house in a few weeks. So I kept the price the same.
So there you go.
Tony
keeping inflation down.
I'm keeping inflation down. A lot of things.
It's very presidential of you.
Yes, I kept the price down because I respect you. When I came up with the $2 tier for all the bonus videos are at the $2 tier. I did that when I didn't have a lot of followers. I probably should have updated it in 2021, but it's too late now. It's too late now, Prison Mike.
Yeah.
And I said it on the one episode, I'm going to be like the Arizona iced tea guy. I'm like, nope, it's going to be that price, even if it hurts me financially.
Yeah.
Prison Mike, before we leave, I decided, because we're entering the scary world, I need to be in even better shape. And I got this new game here.
Box bowling.
Box bowling. Have you played this?
I have, yes.
I haven't played it yet. I wanted to try it on the episode.
Let's try it.
And because my mom bought it for me and she
too.
keeps asking if I used it yet. So I want to put it on video to prove that I used it.
So you haven't used it yet. You're just using it now.
Yeah, I wanted to save it for the video. Are these popular? Has any big name person promoted these or?
I don't know. I think somebody's getting a job today.
Oh, they're getting a job? Well, I hope it's deserved because it looks very popular. Should I not have a hat on?
I mean, at least put the hat backwards because the bill of the hat. It's a very patriotic hat.
It is
on a
very patriotic hat.
day.
Huh?
On a very patriotic day.
Yes. No. Very sad day.
Yeah, very.
So what do I? Well, I'm gonna get the wide.
Oh boy.
Camera here.
It's gonna knock all the movies over.
So what do I do? Just punch it?
Yeah, just you guys start punching it. Do you want me to show you?
Hold on.
No. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I just like double.
Let me give you a tutorial.
Okay, so you can wrap it around. You can adjust it.
Yes. So it's like up to your belly button, waist.
Okay.
See, this is too long. Hold on.
Whoa.
See, you just gotta keep.
You're pretty good at this. You have been playing this, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, but it's a little tight in here. I'm usually way better than this. But like I said, it's very.
What's the highest number you've gotten?
I've gotten in 100 seconds. I've gotten it's. How does it go? You gotta get out of 100, and I got 136 seconds, or actually 29 seconds. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can do.
So you're at the right line. Once you get the hang of it, okay. Don't throw it out. Just start punching it down. It'll come up. It'll come up.
I just flipped over my head. All right.
There you go.
Okay,
oh, you had it. You had it.
Boom.
Not with your head.
What was that? Was that 3 or 4?
That was 3.
1, 2,
3,
4.
Oh no, that was 3. You almost had 4.
1, 2,
3, 4. We'll count that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Oh God, I could do 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. We'll count
now
that.
I get why you guys are playing this a lot. I'm actually liking this.
Yeah, it gets
1,
addicting.
2, 3, 4. Well, anyway, that's it from us. Thanks for watching. Have a really sad inauguration day. And check us out on Patreon. Watch the Our Friend Martin review. And it's gonna be a very dark 4 years, but it'll always be happy here, Prison Mike.
Yes, and maybe Tony will practice his box blowing, and on the next episode,
I might be doing this.
He might be able to get up to 5.
I might do this on live stream.
Maybe you should do one for our Patreon members.
I think I will.
See how well you do.
I'm gonna do one more. Never mind. Done.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.
Talking about tapes.